and welcome to Fiction Friction, a podcast where we talk about reading books and also anything else we might want to talk about. I am one of your hosts, Joe.
And I am Bill. How are you doing today, Joe? Oh my gosh, I could not speak then.
Joe. Yeah, I'm doing great. I am quite tired, but what else is new? How are you?
Busy. I'm back in editing mode, and I know you're in panto mode, so I feel like we can very much relate to each other right now.
Yes. So the end of the year is always a crazy, crazy time for me. And somehow I'm never adjusted to it. I'm never ready for it, never prepared for it. And I'm sure you're probably the same with edits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, something else as big has happened in my life, which you know about, which I can't say yet, but...
You're pregnant!
It's just all happening at once, but I wouldn't... It's a month till Christmas today.
It is exactly a month till Christmas. Happy Christmas,
that's
everybody.
That's more interesting than what I was going to say. But yeah, very busy, but I'm excited to talk about what we're talking about today.
Yeah, like as we say, it's a month until Christmas, which means it's about a month away from the end of the year. So we thought today we would talk about some upcoming books in 2026 that we are really looking forward to. I have 5. How many do you have?
I have 6.
Oh, okay. So that means you should go first.
Okay. Well, I don't need to say all of them, but...
No, say all 6.
To be fair, I found it really hard because I'm honestly not very good at keeping track of like what's coming out. So I did have to go on like a search to find stuff, and I did find some stuff. So here we go. The first one is one I'm actually reading right now because I got an early copy. And maybe we are like agent siblings, so maybe that's it. But there's this book coming out next year called To the Death by Melissa Welliver, which is being pitched as The Last of Us meets The Hunger Games, which is very fun. I'm reading it right now. It's a really, really good time. I like have a really good feeling about this book. It just feels like super fun, easy to read. It's basically in a world where there's zombies in a sense, but they're called pyres because they burn in the sunlight. Go figure. It's basically this world where there's kind of been, for at least what I can tell so far, is that it's like things are kind of separated and people are stuck on this island with these pyres, but they kind of know how to deal with them. Like they're separated enough they can like be shot and killed, whatever. But basically there's this competition that comes along, this reality TV show that if you win, you get kind of like an off from this island. And I don't know, it seems really fun. I'm like halfway through and I'm having a very good time right now, and I think it's going to resonate with a lot of people.
It's that funny thing, isn't it, about all zombie media, that they just refuse to call them zombies?
Well, they do say the word zombie in this, which I did appreciate, and they're like, they're not zombies because they're still alive. I still need to know like the logistics around them, but I'm having a lot of fun with it, and sometimes you need something there's a lot of topics. It's the same with the Hunger Games, where it gets really political, and speaking of Hunger Games, I did just see the stage show, but I'm sure we'll get into that later. But no, it's just a fun time, and sometimes you need something that's just easy, you know?
Yeah. I mean, so I'm just going to go through, whilst it's in my brain, what they call zombies in like some of the most prominent zombie media. So The Walking Dead, is it walkers? What do they call them? In The Last of Us, it's infected.
Yes.
And then you have like subsects, you have like clickers and bloaters and all sorts. And now we have pyres, a new addition to we won't call them zombie canon. Although you say they do call them
pyres.
Zombies.
Kind of sick. I feel like that's like a great name.
Yeah, well, they're kind of like zombie vampires almost. If they can't come out in the sun, they're zampires.
Kind of funky and fresh.
Anyway, talking about horror, I actually have 2 on my list. My first one. So when I was deciding what I wanted to talk about, I have a proof stack, which is actually 3, because it was dwindling and I was getting very sad that I didn't have many upcoming releases to read, because I'm a frontlist girly. I like reading stuff that's coming out soon. But then I've been to a whole bunch of 2026 events that are basically publishers being like, this is what we've got coming out this year. So the stack then tripled in size. So I just sort of looked through them and saw which ones I was most excited about. The first one, this comes out in February next year. It is He's the Devil by Toby Coventry. I
nearly put this on my list. Did he write Brat, or is that a different author?
No. So this is his first book. He is he was a film scout. He was a book to film scout, and he has done all sorts of other stuff to do with film. This is his first novel. It's been described as Stephen King meets Atessa Moshfegh, which I just think sounds really great. It's about this guy called Simon, and he is very neurotic. Like, he likes a very tidy flat. He's constantly employee of the month at this very fancy restaurant that he works at. He lives in a flat with his best friend, but the best friend moves out, so he gets a new flatmate called Massimo. But Massimo is kind of strange. Like, the smell of meat will just emanate from his room, and once he moves in, Simon starts to have like really weird dreams. It just sounds really, really fun and camp and sort of silly. So I'm very excited for it.
That does honestly remind me of the cover of Bratz. Do you know the book I'm thinking of?
I do, yeah. It's got like a man
I'm not just
shouting
making it up.
on it.
Yeah.
No,
I'm not just making that up.
I know what you're talking about, yeah. But no, it's not the same guy. But it comes out in February. I love the proof. The proof looks great because on the back as well, they've got all of the they've made it look like a movie poster. So I think it sounds really, really fun. It's queer. It just sounds fun. I'm looking forward to it.
When I did go through the Waterstones website to look for mine, and that one did pique my interest. So I probably shall be picking that one up.
Well, I'm going to read it soon, so I'll probably talk about it at some point.
Epic. My next one is not horror, but there's some horrors in it, because this one, I've read her memoir, and I'm sure you know which one I'm going to talk about, but this is Half His Age by Jennette McCurdy. This is. I did forget it was coming out, and then I saw it plastered on the Waterstones website. I was like, yes, I'm going to read that. I'm just very intrigued to see how Jennette works with, I don't know, her memoir I found very, very personable, go figure. But it was just, I think, listening to like the audiobook of that one as well, it's narrated by her, and she does such a good job, and like making you laugh even though it's like the most like horrific thing you've ever heard in your life. And I don't know, I'm just really intrigued to see how she'll do this. This is very much, I think it's like 17-year-old teachers sort of thing, but obviously it's Jennette McCurdy. There's going to be like a huge commentary on the whole situation. I know I did see people when she announced this, they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she's romanticizing this. Like, guys, it's Jennette McCurdy. It's not going to be that at all.
Well, I think some people struggle with discerning the difference between endorsing something and discussing it. Some people see someone talking about a relationship between a 17-year-old girl and a teacher and think that they would be romanticizing that. I read a book last year called Everything's Fine, I think. And it was, to be fair, I think the marketing did it wrong. It was shown as like a romance, but really it was about a black girl who gets in relationship with a guy who increasingly reveals himself to be more and more right-wing. And people were like, I can't believe they're romanticizing this. And I was like, I don't think that's what they were doing. So I really don't think Jennette McCurdy will be doing the same thing with this.
Well, knowing Jennette McCurdy and like her past with Nickelodeon and Dan Schneider and shit, I think it's very obvious like what this is kind of going to entail. And I think just given her history, she's going to do it in a very, very good way, hopefully. I know, I'm very intrigued. And I mean, the first like novel, I think it'll be a really big deal too. So I assume this is going to be a huge book next year.
Yeah, it's the same publisher as He's the Devil. And when I went to the event for this the other day and picked it up, she sent in a video. She wasn't there, sadly. But she said she was writing something else and couldn't get on with it. And then this other idea presented itself. So she went, I'll just see how this goes. And apparently this novel just like spilled out of her. So
yeah, I bet.
Hopefully that bodes well.
Yeah. You know what? Now we're on the topic, Jennette McCurdy, real quick. Obviously that memoir came out, was it like 2021, 22? The paperback's only just come out. That is wild.
I thought that, but that just must mean people were still buying that hardback.
Well, there was originally a paperback schedule, but then I think because it was just selling so much that they just kept pushing it back and back. Because if you guys don't know, the listener don't know, the reason it goes to paperback is because it's kind of like a second wind of sales and people will wait for the paperback. But if it's selling so much in hardcover, they're going to keep it in hardcover for as long as possible. I remember Addie LaRue by V. Schwab. That was in hardcover for like 3-4 years until it finally went into paperback. It's very interesting, but it's all business.
Yeah. Like, I saw it the other day because she posted on her Instagram story, like, saw this in the airport, it's finally out in paperback. And I was like, it's only now out in paperback? Because, you know, when you've read a book and you've had it in hardback, you kind of like, that's it now. Your brain I don't even register it sometimes. So I hadn't really thought about it. I don't walk through the non-fiction section that much.
The non-section, yeah.
The non-section. So I just kind of put it to the back of my mind. But then I saw it on her Instagram story and was like, it's only now? Like, Jesus Christ, people have been paying 20 quid for this book for 3 years. Mm-hmm. Crazy. Anyway, the second book I have today is another horror. It is The Hill in the Dark Grove by Liam Higginson.
It's giving literary, the cover.
Yeah. I think it's literary horror. It is a folk horror. It is about these two sheep farmers, husband and wife, I think, Carwyn and Rhiann. They're sheep farmers in North Wales. One of them, when they're walking out in the woods, the husband discovers this stone circle and becomes increasingly obsessed with it. And the wife is sort of coming to the realization that this man isn't the man that she sort of married. They become more isolated as it gets colder. It sounds very fun, very folk horror, very spooky. And I've had a couple of friends read it already and say that it's very, very good. So I'm looking forward to it. Apparently, it's very similar to Andrew Michael Hurley. He's the guy who wrote Starvacre and The Lonely. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Is that set in the UK, did you say?
Yes, it's set in North Wales.
Yeah, I was going to say, anything that's set, I feel like in the UK, automatically, especially horror, like the folk horror, it just immediately adds to the creepiness.
Yeah.
I feel like I talked about it. Like when people asked me, I was like, why did you set your book in the US? I was like, because the setting really affects the vibe of the story. And I imagine if I'd set my book in, I don't know, the Moors, it's going to be a completely fucking different book. You know, I don't know, but
yeah, definitely. Well, also,
really
I'm also looking forward to the fact that it seems like British horror is kind of having a bit more of a moment, because I feel like we don't have that many British horror writers anyway. It feels much more of an American thing. So I'm looking forward to these two sort of big literary horror releases next year. That one, this comes out in January. I forgot to say, 8th of January.
That's January's huge for British horror, actually, because The Lamb by Lucy Rose was January last year, and that was huge. Another huge British horror hit of the year. There's definitely more, but yeah, I might have to pick that one up too.
Yeah, it sounds really good. It sounds really, really good. Anyway, what is yours?
Okay, my next one is literally completely different, and this is a nostalgia pick. The Last King of Fairy by Cassandra Clare, which is the first book in the Wicked Powers, which is the final trilogy in the Shadowhunters world. Period. It's going to be done. Last 3 books ever. Admittedly, I've not read every single book because there's so many of them, but I'll read them eventually. But this is like huge. I really haven't read too much into it, but I'm pretty sure that we're getting like adult POV of like Clary, who's like the main character from the original. It's going to just tie everything together. I know every time Cassie's talked about it, it's like, obviously it's like a culmination of everything, but we're kind of, we've had these plot threads. I think The City of Bones came out in 2005. So what, 21 years now of like story finally wrapping up. It just feels like very like wild that it's been going on for this long, because like series as an author as well, it's so difficult to get a trilogy, and this is what, 20 books now. It's wild. Like, to get my trilogy, I had to fight for that. Like, sales had to be like shown for them to be like, okay, maybe we'll do this. So the fact that it's been going on for so long is like very impressive, and I'm just excited to see how it finishes.
I mean, I think she's shown that her books can do well. Like, her books always do well no matter what she writes. Like, both of her adult fantasy books have done really well as well.
Very fun too. But
Swordcatcher.
Yeah.
And then whatever
the Ragpicker King, which I've not read yet, but I do have somewhere.
I read Swordcatcher, and I was like, I can't do this again. So I don't think
it's a long one. I remember it being quite slow.
Yeah, it was really long. And I'm of the opinion that I understand this is a long running like series, or that's how it felt reading the first one. But I'm of the opinion that a book within a series does also have to have its own narrative arc. And I just didn't feel like that was the case. I felt like things finally got going and then they just ended. And I was like, I can't do another 600 pages of nothing. I just can't do it. But with is it Shadowhunters? That's what it's called, isn't it?
Yeah.
I genuinely didn't know that it was still going. I thought it had finished years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Obviously, the main series finished in like the first trilogy, not trilogy, because it originally was a trilogy and then it got changed to a 6-book series, which finished in 2014, I think. But then there was the prequels, which is like everyone's favorite, the ones that are like the 1800s ones, which are just the best. They've done, I think she's done 2 more trilogies since, and then she's also done spin-offs, and then she's also done something else too. Like there's a big short story collection coming out like next week. Which I'm probably going to pick up because it's like stories like between like all the couples throughout all this series as well, which will be really fun.
6 series of novels. Like, that's just crazy. The woman must be stopped. Like, when does she have time to do it?
She
Why?
must be loaded.
Yeah, but also like, when does she have the time? Like, she just must be writing constantly. Like, I just don't understand. I don't understand these women. They get these fantasy books out, don't they? Take note, George R.R. Martin.
Well, they're friends. He blurbed Swordcatcher, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, he did. Maybe Cassandra can have a word with him.
Mm-hmm.
Right, sidebar. Do you think The Winds of Winter is ever going to come out?
I kind of want to say yeah, but I feel like it's going to be like another 10 years. I bet you it will be kind of like a surprise thing, like, hey, here's the pre-order link.
Because it just
I just
like
have a
Infinity
feeling that it might happen.
Do you think it's going to be like Wheel of Time and they're going to conscript Brandy Sandy to come in and finish it?
I don't think Brandy Sandy would do it. I think Brandy Sandy now has such like an illustrious career that it wouldn't make sense for him to do it. Maybe someone else.
Yeah.
It would probably be like sort of same situation where he's like up and coming and like very, very universally loved writer. Because I feel like at the time, obviously, Brandon Sanderson wasn't huge, but his books were like well received, if that makes sense. I will say,
they're very
I do
different
not
as
think,
well.
yeah, I don't think. What's the other series that's been going on for ages that never got finished? I can't remember the first one's book. The second one's A Wise Man's Fear. What's the first book called?
The Name of the Wind.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever going to get finished.
But he's still, I mean, he's younger than George R.R. Martin, isn't he? He's still alive.
Yeah, but
he just doesn't want to do it.
Yeah. I don't think that one would get finished. I have more hope for The Winter Winter.
Yeah, my theory, and I don't know how correct this is just my headcanon, is he saw how the TV show was received, like the end of the TV show, and obviously the TV show is its whole separate thing. The writers of it got offered a Star Wars trilogy, and they were like, quick, let's just bung this out so we can go and make good Star Wars money. And then they messed up Game of Thrones, and then Kathleen Kennedy at Star Wars was like, oh, well, you messed that up. So actually, no, your contract is revoked. No Star Wars movies for you. So that's his whole separate thing. But part of me is also like, oh, people really didn't like the ending. They didn't like how it ended.
It's intimidating, yeah.
So maybe he's just gone through this crisis and is changing everything now that people didn't like the ending of Game of Thrones. It's just a theory. I don't think that's actually true.
No. I mean, probably. It's very possible because you see so many book series, especially, like, the final book is the hardest one to do because...
This isn't the final one, though.
Sure, well...
There's Winds of Winter and then a Something of Spring. Well, he's got two more.
Okay, well, maybe he's doing a back-to-back. I don't know. But it is, like, especially when you've had a break after so long, like, I felt like it wasn't obviously as long, but do you remember, like, Children of Blood and Bone, how the third book came out, like, 5 years after the second one? Like, that's got to have been, like, so fucking nerve-wracking, especially, like, being away for 5 years and then suddenly dropping it. It's just, like...
Well, The Rosefield, another one, there was 7 years in between those books. And I understand that, obviously, Song of Ice and Fire, the books are so much more complex than the TV series. There's so much that they cut. So he's dealing with all of these other plot threads. Like, you've got Lady Stoneheart, who was Catelyn Stark, who came back from the dead, and you've got all this stuff to do with another Targaryen heir that Tyrion's dealing with. Like, there's so much other stuff that just didn't make it into the TV series that he's got to, like, tie up. So it's a big job. But, like, when did the last one come out? When did that come out? What was the last one called?
Yeah. Wasn't it before the show?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah. See, it's also one of those things as well, like, I bet he'd get confused, like, what's in the show and then what's in the book. Like, because
he now has, because they used to have... Do you remember they had that... companion TV series to Game of Thrones? They had those people, like the experts, come on and like talk about it. They're like his like personal assistants. They keep like logs for him and everything. Dance with Dragons came out in 2011.
That was the year the show came out, wasn't it? I swear the show debuted that year.
The show premiered in 2011. So the show premiered in April. And the last book came out in July.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things as well. Like, even, like, obviously there's the pressure of releasing a book after so long, but because there's been so much time between the two, you're going to have people that are going to expect it to be so great because they've been waiting for, probably 20 years by the time it comes out, I don't know.
Yeah.
That even if it is good, people are going to expect it to be incredible, and that's when people get let down, and it's just bound to happen.
Or people are just going to not care.
People will care. It's one of those things that it will still sell a ridiculous amount of copies.
I think people will care, but, like, I don't care anymore. When it comes out, like, I read that series, like, around when season 3 was coming out. So, I can't remember what happened in that last book, and I'm not going to reread all of them because that's a considerable time investment. So I'm not going to care. Maybe just out of spite. Let's DM him. George, what's going on? Anyway, that was a massive tangent. Anyway, my next book is Minor Black Figures by Brandon Taylor. I'm a huge Brandon Taylor fan. This is really chunky. It's like normally his books have been really brief, but this is really chunky and the font is really small. So I'm a little bit intimidated by it. But this is about a young black painter called Wyeth. He's just moved to New York City. He's not making enough money and he's feeling very creatively stagnant. He can't paint, which he's very worried about. And then he meets a white priest who is struggling with his faith, and they form a friendship and also, I think, kind of like romance. His stuff normally tends to be queer. And it just sounds like it's like a novel like set in a very hot New York City, and that sounds very fun. I'm a big fan of his. I really liked The Late Americans, even though a lot of people didn't. I really liked Real Life, his first novel, so I'm really looking forward to this. But like I say, it's very chunky, which I'm a little bit intimidated about, and this comes out in March.
Is that just the art cover, or is it like a literary thing where you just have boring covers?
This is the first proof cover. The actual cover, I think, is this text, but it's white, and then the photo is a picture of New York. Although I can see this being the cover, to be honest.
It just feels like a very literary thing. I could see that on the shelf.
Very Fitzcarraldo. Oh, how pleasing. So far I've had one from January, February, March.
I don't even know the dates of mine, so whoops. My next one, I think you've read this first book because it's a sequel. I think you have, because I have, and I feel like if I have, you normally have. Okay. This is, well, I keep saying this is as if like I'm doing like a performance.
This is, drum roll, tonight, Matthew.
It's the sequel to The Adventures of Amina El-Sarafi. Have you read it?
I haven't. I have it.
I think you would really enjoy it.
Yeah, I've heard the audiobook is amazing.
Yeah. The new book, the sequel is called The Tapestry of Fate by Shannon Chakraborty. I adored the first one. It is so fun. It is really refreshing. I feel like, especially in the sphere of the TikTok and the Instagram, all the fantasy I get recommended normally have a
you sounded
younger
so
protagonist.
old when you said that.
The protagonists are normally like under 30, right? But I feel like Amina El-Sarafi's in her 40s, so that was just refreshing. And it's just really fun. It's basically like getting a band back together. It's like Amina El-Sarafi was like a renowned pirate, and then she retired to stay with her, I think it's her daughter. I could be wrong. I read this in like 2023 now, so it's been a while. And then she's like, okay, one last trip because they need to go and do this mission for a bunch of money. So she gets all of her old shipmates back and then turns into this huge fantasy spectacle. And I'm really excited to see where the sequel goes because it is a fun book and Shannon Chakraborty is a brilliant writer as well. But that comes out, I don't actually know when, sometime in 2026.
This is like her second series though, isn't it? She's had another one before this.
She had, yes, City of Brass, is that Chakraborty?
Yeah, I knew it had brass in it, I think. The different way we pronounce brass is so funny.
I'm too brummy.
Yes, the Daevabad trilogy.
That's it, yes.
The City of Brass.
I never got to them, but everyone raves about them. It's just Amina El-Sarafi was like, just sounded really fun to me at the time. And I have the cool US version. So I was
going to say, I hated the UK cover for the first one, but the second one, the UK cover, actually is quite nice. I liked it. Even though it's kind of in the same vein. I just kind of felt the UK cover was too plain, whereas this actually has some more interesting stuff going on.
It's my problem with a lot of UK fantasy, actually. A lot of the covers do just look very samey, and I do like illustration.
Well, there must be a reason for it. I reckon adults won't buy it in the UK if it's too illustrative.
It's cover trends, for sure.
Yeah. I reckon adult fantasy fans in the UK like it to look like big adult serious fantasy rather than with an illustration on the front that makes it kind of look like a kid's book.
You know what? I think what they do as well is they've got to differentiate it in their minds. Like they don't want to say, "Oh, this is a like a romantasy," because that's normally got a different cover to say like a Brandon Sanderson fantasy.
Yeah.
Like because it's, I mean, the audiences do overlap, but you're going to have a lot of romantasy girlies on TikTok. It's not going to be their vibe, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, romantasy covers are normally complete arse. Like, they normally are just like text on a black background, and they all blur into one for me. I don't know how people tell them apart. What is also arse is the UK Brandon Sanderson covers. They're terrible. I hate them. They're so boring.
The white ones?
The white ones.
I don't have any of them.
They're terrible.
I don't like covers. I don't like covers. Is homogenization the right word where they all look the same?
Yeah, I think so.
It's just I like a series being the similar, but I don't like when all their authors look like I wouldn't want just like a white block on my shelf. That's not pretty. It's just
Yeah.
a bit ugly. It's a bit of an eyesore.
Homogenization, a process by which the fat droplets from milk are emulsified and the cream does not separate.
Well, maybe they're not that.
Or process of making things uniform or similar.
There we go.
There we go.
I don't know. Like, I just think the US ones are so much more fantasy, and I love
They
that.
are. They are. I mean, they're harkening back to like the sort of 80s and 90s.
Which I love. Like, I
Yeah.
love my Wheel of Time covers.
Yeah.
The US ones, that is.
Yeah, they look great. They look great. I am a fan of when an author's sort of body of work do have like a style, as in like they have a specific, like they use the same font or like they. But I just think the Brandon Sanderson ones don't do it well enough. They're kind of too boring. Like you can see my Maggie O'Farrell's just behind my shoulder here. And you can see that they kind of all match up, even though they've got different colours and I like that. I like that.
Yeah, I feel like it's a lot easier to do for literary because it's normally standalones. But to be fair, Cassandra Clare, considering how many books she has, even though some books may have different art styles, like the text placement and stuff and the fonts always line up so they look right together. Obviously, they've done a redesign over the years, but they link up, and I'm like, considering how many books there are, it's quite impressive in my mind.
Well, it's what people were mad about with the Bone season, wasn't it? Because the newest one, which I can never remember the individual names of that series, and I never will. What was it called? It's behind me.
There's the Bone season. There's the Black Mirror. No, there's
The Dark Mirror. The Dark Mirror was the
Mirror.
good one. It came out in the new style from the reissues and not the old one, and people were livid. I think they are actually releasing them in the old style as well for those people who have been buying them since release. But I find it so frustrating when they do that. Or like the Will of the Many that's recently come out.
But yeah,
If they've redesigned them, the what's it called? Dust Jacket is reversible with the old cover on the other side, which I thought was a very nice thing for them to do.
yeah. I remember because originally they weren't doing that, were they? I remember they were like, "Oh, here's the new cover," and everyone's like, "Nah."
I think they were like, here's the new cover, and also we're re-releasing the first one in hardback, so you can buy that to match the new one. And people were like, no, we've had enough of this. This is too much now. Okay, my next book is called Sublimation by Isabel J. Kim. I'd never heard of this until the other day when I picked it up, but I mean, I love the cover. I think the cover is great. So this is set in a world where if you emigrate to another country, you leave a version of yourself behind in your country of origin. So this girl has emigrated from Korea, I think, but she's left a version of herself there while she goes to New York. She then has to go home to Korea because her grandfather has died. And when you touch your old former self, you join up again. The self she left in Korea really wants to do that. The self that went to New York doesn't want to do that. And that's kind of where that's like the conceit of the book. This comes out in July. And I just think it sounds really original and really interesting. Love
2 New York books.
I have. I do like a book set in New York. I do. I really like that sort of ground level science fiction in the vein of like Arrival, stuff like that, but isn't like, as much as I like spaceships flying through the space and aliens and stuff like that. I really love, I suppose it's speculative science fiction, isn't it? I really love stuff like that.
Feels a little bit more realistic.
Yeah. It just sounds really interesting and just completely original. And I'd never heard of it until the other day. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. And I really like the cover as well. I think
Do you know what month that comes out?
July. It does not match up. And the next one is April, so I'm missing one in June. Maybe I should try and find one that comes out in June to talk about.
I think one of mine comes out in June.
Okay. Whilst you talk about your next one, I'm going to find one that comes out in June, just so I can appease my brain.
Okay. My next one, actually, which one do I talk about? I've got 2 more. I think
that's okay. Because I now have 2 more rather than 1 more. Because I found one more.
Talk about. I'm going to talk about this one next. Do you want me to talk about both of them?
No. I mean, at some point, talk about both of them. Because I now have 2 rather than 1.
I'm going to now talk about the new book by Farida Abike-Imade, who wrote, oh my gosh, what did she write? She wrote the book about the school and the stuff. Oh my gosh, what's it called? Oh, Ace of Spades, which was like a really big book in 2021, I want to say. Brilliant book. But this is her new book. It's called The Heirs. It's basically, I believe at least, it's like set at a school, which most of Farida's books are. Basically, it's about about this billionaire guy and all of his offspring. And they're all like kind of different. They've all kind of got their quirks and they've got to solve a mystery or something. I don't know. It just sounds really fun. I think all of Farida's books, they have kind of like a really good hook and premise, and this is no different. And I think immediately when you have a billionaire, there's going to be some fun kind of hijinks there's going to be probably crazy set pieces and stuff, which is always really fun to read about. And she's a brilliant writer, and she's a really lovely person too. I met her at the Hunger Games midnight thing. We were on a panel together, and she is lovely, and I shall be reading.
Also, I feel like there's probably going to be some commentary about billionaires in there, which I'm always here for.
For sure, yeah.
I'm always, and when I say commentary, I mean condemning and damning of billionaires. So
that's one thing that's actually in my next book as well, and it's very fun to write about. Actually, it's very, very fun.
Yeah, I can imagine just writing wish fulfillment about getting rid of all the billionaires. It must be really fun. Anyway, my next book, which comes out in June, is A New Skin by Sarah Wang. Again, I love
that
this
cover's
cover.
creepy.
It's so good, isn't it? I really, really like books about plastic surgery, which this book is about. This is a novel about a woman whose mother has had so much plastic surgery that she no longer resembles her mother. She looks like a completely different woman, but she's got a lot of botched plastic surgery. And like the tagline of this book, the way the author sold it is, how would you feel if your mother got so much plastic surgery that you no longer recognized her? And I think that sounds, again, like a really, really interesting premise. But the mother also goes on a reality show called American's Beauty Extreme, a reality show where botched plastic surgery victims compete for reconstructive surgery. So it just sounds really interesting. It sounds really current and very interesting. I'm going to say interesting one more time, just so I've said it loads of times. And that one comes out in June.
Sound interesting?
It sounds interesting. It sounds, I am really interested by books about plastic surgery. There's a horror book called Natural Beauty. Bye. Quickly Googling Ling Ling Huang, which I haven't read, but I've heard is very, very good. And it sounds like it's a similar vein to that. So yeah, I'm excited.
It's one of those things as well. You can already tell like what kind of the commentary is going to be about. And it is an interesting one, especially in this day and age. And I will probably read that too, because that does sound really fun.
Yeah, it does sound really good. And quite short. It is 250 pages, which... in my opinion, is the perfect length for a book.
Yeah, especially a horror. Like, kind of actually, as soon as you were like describing it, there's a movie called Goodnight Mommy, which was foreign, and then they remade it, which was supposed to be awful. But it's basically like, I don't know if it's plastic surgery, but I know it's these twins' mother comes back from a surgery and her face is all obviously like covered up, and they're like convinced it's not actually her. My final one, I don't actually know a ton about because it's not fully up for pre-order and stuff yet, but it says it's coming out in fall 2026. And I'm saying fall because I know it's like US main, but I know that she's just sold it to Del Rey as well. So it's called Moth's Blood. It's by Lindy Jung or Young. I can't remember which one it is, but she has been like documenting her author. Like she queried many books, got an agent. She's had 2 agencies, books side on submission, and this was like her one that kind of like hit it big. It's basically a fantasy dark academia set in Paris, which love. And just by the sounds of it, it sounds really, really good. I know, like just watching her videos, I can tell that she's a great writer as well. Which obviously is always a bonus. But what I think is going to be really cool about this, from what I can tell, is that again, it's going to be touching on a lot of like the student-teacher dynamics in schools and stuff. And I don't know, I think that's just adds an extra layer to kind of the dark academia of it all, and especially with a market where dark academia is kind of hit its saturation point. Whatever you can do to make something different, I'm in.
Well, I think the thing with dark academia is people started to use it more as a term to describe aesthetic rather than what the genre actually was to begin with, which in my opinion is a critique of academia.
Yeah.
For all its faults and for the fact, even though I didn't enjoy it, Babel is a great example of that. It is dark academia, but it is critiquing academia. It's critiquing the institutions that withhold knowledge. And I think people started to use the term dark academia to just basically mean Gothic.
Yeah.
People were like, I saw this trend online for a while of people saying that Frankenstein was the first dark academia book. And I'm like, no, that's not.
Gothic, yeah.
Yeah, it's gothic. And like, I suppose you can retroactively use the term dark academia to describe it, because I suppose it is kind of critiquing academia and intelligence and, you know, the lengths that some people will go to. But I think we started to get all these basically essentially what were gothic books coming out, and people were like, well, it's dark academia. And then that's why we reached saturation
setting
point.
a school. Yeah. Just
Yeah,
because it's a school doesn't mean it's, yeah.
Yeah, because we became so far removed from what the term actually meant, people started to get tired of it, I think, anyway.
Yeah, which is why I'm hopeful for this one, because she is, like, explicitly said that it's, like, academic trauma and all of that, so it's, like, very obvious that she knows what she's talking about, too, which is always nice to hear.
Yeah. We love some good old trauma on this podcast. Speaking of trauma, my last book is called Yesteryear by Carol Claire Burr.
My friend has just read that and she said it was incredible. I'm very intrigued by it.
I'm really excited for this book.
Mm-hmm.
So she spoke again. This is published by Fourth Estate, same publisher as Jeanette McCurdy's new book, and He's the Devil. The author is a political podcaster, so I'm looking forward to how that lends itself to this book. So this book is basically about a trad wife, momfluencer, to use a terrible, horrible term, whose name is Natalie. You know, she's one of those, what do they call them? Not like, those are like beige parents.
Like a family blogger?
Yeah, but she's very sort of traditional.
Is it like Emily Mariko?
I don't know who that is.
She makes a salmon bowl.
But she's the one who's like, I'm on my farmhouse, guys, with my family who are all white, although I'm not going to mention that. And look, we're very traditional. We churn our own butter. We don't eat any additives. All our food is natural. But she gets transported back to the time that she influences about. So she then gets stuck in the past and then kind of has to actually live in the time that she purports to be like going back to traditional values. However, that time she goes back to, she wouldn't have been allowed an opinion or to own land or to have a bank account. And she would have had to, you know, muck out the stables and all that. It sounds really, really fun. Again, really, really original. And yeah, listening to the author talk about it, it made me very excited for it. And I've had a few friends who have read it. And although it's, you know, it's not exactly short, I think it's just shy of 400 pages. Apparently, it's a very, very quick and fun read. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And I also think the cover is just absolutely great.
Yeah, well, my friend sent a picture of the book on Friday, and she's like, oh, just because she was one of my colleagues from when I worked at Waterstones, but now she works in head office, so she still gets access to Publisher News, where she gets the free books for review and stuff. She goes, got this from Pub News, and OMG, finished it in a day, what a slay. And she told me what it was about. It's so good. I was like, what is happening? So you've got that to look forward to.
Yeah,
She gave it a 5-star.
She, the author spoke about how she was very, very pleased with the twist at the end. So I am looking forward to that. Obviously, she is kind of setting herself up for failure, because what if I'm excited to read this twist for 400 pages and I get to the end and it's bad? But I mean, hopefully the preceding 400 pages are really, really good. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. That was
what month is that one out? Because I do want to read
April.
that. April.
This was the one that people were most excited about at the event I got it from the other day. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. That's all my 6. Is that all your 6?
It is all my 6.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, those are just some of the very exciting books that are coming out next year. So I'm looking forward to next year. I don't want to say this year has been dry, but I've noticed this year that more of my favourite books have not been books that have been published this year necessarily.
Interesting.
Yeah, so looking forward to next year.
This has not been my year reading-wise, so I don't actually know. I've read a lot of like unreleased stuff. That's the thing. Now that it's literally my job, when I do get time to read, it's normally like for blurbs and stuff. So a lot of my stuff either's not been announced yet, or I can't really talk about. Yeah, I kind of agree with your statement.
Anyway, well, what a downer note to end that on. Anyway, now we are going to talk about one thing we've been reading, one thing we've been watching, and one other thing we've been doing. William, what have you been reading at the moment?
Well, I already mentioned To the Death, which I'm reading right now. I did just finish. What did I finish? What is that book? I can't tell.
Clearly made a big impression.
I started reading because I wanted to see what was like, because of like what I can't spoil stuff, but like I'm doing something right now work-wise, and I'm just trying to like gauge the whole romantasy thing right now. So I'm reading one of those books right now. It's called Metal Slinger by Rachel Schneider. I think it was Indie Pub and then it got picked up, but it was like huge this year. So I'm making my way through that. It's pretty fun. Apparently, there's a huge twist at the end. So just like you were saying before, I hope I'm not disappointed by it. I don't know. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I think the thing I like the romantasy thing is really weird. Just anyway, just like how it's perceived, I guess. But I like something that can do something different with the genre that's so saturated, and I feel like this is doing that so far. So I guess I'll have to report back. But what are you reading right now, Joe?
Well, I was just going to talk about romantasy for a sec, because I've never read a single romantasy book in my life. It's not so, I don't enjoy romance generally. The only time I ever read a book that might be considered romance is if it's a lit fic book, but normally they're having more of a discussion about it rather than it being a straightforward romance. It's just not something I enjoy, so I don't read them. Did you see recently this woman who said that all romantasy readers are idiots and are right-wing? Yeah. Baffles me when people put an entire reader base into one group of people. Like, it absolutely baffles me when people do that, and I could never imagine doing that, especially as someone who doesn't read that genre. And she said, you know, like, all romantic, like, right-wing ideologies. And I was like, have you read every romantasy book that ever exists? Because what, they all do that? All of the authors are in some secret cabal of right-wing ideology pushing. It completely baffled me. Again, it's not something I will ever read. Maybe they are all doing that, but what a crazy, crazy assumption to make. And then what a crazy, crazy thing to then go on the internet and say. I just thought it was completely baseless and completely crazy. And we don't support that kind of thinking here.
Yeah, I mean, that I did see that. I've not like proper delved into it, but it was a crazy assumption. And I've read quite a few romantasy books over my years, like before they were kind of even like classed as romantasy. And I can confidently say that's not true, because there's a lot of, the thing is, romantasy, it's such obviously a new term as well, but like, it's fantasy with some romance a lot of the time. Not all books are like romance with fantasy on the side, and they're all kind of getting lumped together now. So I feel like just saying they're all the same is very, very silly and just not true.
It's a really, 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 really strange thing to say. Like, obviously, I'm not going to say authors like Rebecca Yarros and Sarah J. Maas are like completely perfect, but you know, there's books also like Divine Rivals is a romantasy. I don't think that's pushing.
Have you read Divine Rivals?
I have read Divine Rivals. Yeah. That's the first
Brilliant
one,
book.
isn't it? Yeah, I really liked it, and definitely not pushing right-wing ideology. Like, it's just a crazy, crazy, crazy thing to say. Anyway, the thing I have been reading is a book I think you have read, and I think it might be my favourite book of the year. I think it might be one of my favourite books of all time.
I mentioned it last video, I think.
Yeah. I think it's one of the most well-written books I've ever read. It is The Dutch House by Anne Patchett. I can't put into words how this woman does this. She's a witch. Like, I don't know how more people don't talk about her. I don't know how she's more widely read. Maybe she's more widely read in America, because I don't think she's very widely read over here. I don't know how she hasn't won more awards, because this book was so perfectly plotted, structured, written. It felt so real. And if you don't know, The Dutch House is primarily about a brother and sister. I think it starts in the 50s and follows them over about 40 years. They live in this huge house that was built by these Eastern immigrants in the US. I think they live in just north of New York or that area. My American geography is not very good. They live in this huge, almost like stately home called the Dutch House, because they were the people who built it were Dutch, and it's like made of glass. It's this beautiful house. Their mother leaves them. The father marries essentially a wicked stepmother who, when the father dies, ousts them from the house. And they're kind of, for the rest of their lives, always just thinking about this huge house that they had. It's just wonderful. Like, it just is an absolute feat. And I think because you're so wrapped up in the story and the characters when you're reading it, you kind of, and it's the same thing, I felt the same way with Tom Lake, you kind of forget just how incredible a writer Patchett is because of what she's doing structurally. It's just so brilliant. It's just so brilliant. So brilliant. I can't believe I've waited this long to read it. I've had it on my shelf years, and I just absolutely loved it. I thought it was wonderful. I also, because I wanted to keep reading it when I didn't have time to sit down and read it, I got the audiobook, and it's read by Tom Hanks. And it's, again, just these massive movie stars just keep doing the audiobooks for her books, because Meryl Streep did the one for Tom Lake, and it was absolutely incredible. and he did the one for the Dutch House, and it just, again, was so good. So good.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved
Well,
it.
I mean, considering it's a lit fic, and like I've read it and loved it, I feel like that should tell you. Because that's not like I do read lit fic, but it's not like my main genre.
No.
Everyone kind of knows that. Like when Joe posted that he'd finished it, I was like, oh, the first time ever I've read something before him, and I'm gonna wear that with pride for the rest of my life.
I just wish more people would read her, because I think I would defy anyone to read that book and not enjoy it. I think it's just it has just such universal appeal. I just think it's wonderful. Anyway, I'm going to stop gushing about it now, but I just think it's absolutely incredible. And it was also a really nice book to read at this time of year. It's a very nice autumnal book, I think.
For sure.
Yeah, I
love the cover of it too.
The cover is incredible. It's not a real painting either. It was commissioned for that book, because I was like, how perfect that this painting is, like, so perfect. Yeah, what is so wonderful about it is just how succinct it is. Like, it's 350 pages long. You have the whole lives of these two siblings and their extended family members. It's finished. You don't feel like anything was left out. I wasn't even really left wanting more. I was just like, right, that's done. That was perfect. It is just so good. It's just so good. And I'm gonna try and force more people to read it. Anyway, what is one thing you have been watching?
Well, I know what this section is going to become now. This is the Wicked section.
Yes. I was hoping you were going to say that first, because there is something else I want to talk about. We'll talk about Wicked.
Madame Marble, flip her out, Wicked Witch. Wait, when is it being posted?
This will be posted this coming Thursday. So that will be
Okay, because otherwise, like, I feel like we'd be really behind the times doing that. But like, okay, this is correct.
No, it's in 2 days' time. It's in 2 days' time. Really... Flip it over.
Yeah, Wicked. I saw it on Sunday.
I saw it the day it came out, Friday.
Yeah, I wanted to see it the day it came out, but I was influenza'd. Not really. I was just very ill. But I saw it on Sunday, and I had a good time for the most part. I think I have some problems with it, but that's because I had some problems with Act 2 of the actual show, and I knew they were going to change it crazily, because then you would have the purist who would be really pissed about that. But I don't know, I think it's just still kind of surreal seeing a show that I've loved for so long finally on the big screen.
No, I feel exactly the same way. I said to someone last year when I saw the first one, I was like, I can't believe it's real, and it actually exists finally.
Well, the fact that it was announced so long ago and it's taken this long, I just didn't think it would ever happen. But I mean, highlights for me, I think obviously For Good. I think the ending was the best part of the film, and that's not because I wanted it to end. Like, I just think it's the strongest part. For Good, I think is the best song in the musical, or at least in the Act 2. I thought No Good Deed was really fun. I love that song too, and Cynthia's literally a powerhouse, but we knew that. I can't think. The new songs, what did you think about the new songs?
I thought they were both terrible, but sadly that is because Stephen Schwartz is just not as good a composer as he used to be. Like, his new musical, The Queen of Versailles, starring Kristen Chenoweth on Broadway, opened last month and is closing next month, and one of the main criticisms of it was the score is just not as good. His new songs just aren't as good, unfortunately. And again, like, for the second act of Wicked doesn't have as strong material musically, but they're still good. Like, all of the songs in Act 2 of Wicked are still good songs. You know, you've got Thank Goodness, you've got As Long As You're Mine, you've got Wonderful. Like, they're all still great songs. And unfortunately, Cynthia's song felt like they just let her loose on the set and were like, just ad-lib something and we'll put some music under it. It just had no tune.
I think the thing is like, everyone knows, well, you should at least, a musical song should be like doing something for the plot. Girl in Bubble did nothing for the plot.
See, I do disagree with that. And what I was about to say was, I thought Girl in the Bubble was a really nice moment, and I thought it was a really strong character moment for Glinda, because it's something we don't have in the show, is the moment where she actually decides, no, you know what, enough is enough, this has gone too far, I actually do need to stop pretending to be good and actually being good. I need to stop being nice and I need to actually be good. And there's that really great new line, good needs to be, not just be a word, it needs to be an action or something like that.
Yeah.
And I thought, I just think if that needed to be this really big character moment, I don't know why the song was so quiet and solemn and sad. It needed to be this big, like, kind of like as big as No Good Deed moment, because it's the same sort of moment. It's the moment where a character turns and decides to do something. So I don't know why the song was so quiet and solemn. And I wish it hadn't come in the middle of March of the Witch Hunters as well.
I mean, speaking of Ariana Grande, I think she was the best part of this film. Like, I feel like that's kind of like a universal thing. She was just incredible in it. I saw a post last night, and it was talking about when she was doing, I think it was Thank Goodness. I think it was. And she does like this little, like during kind of the climax, she does like this kind of like riff, and she just sounded like Ariana Grande for like the first time in any of these films. I was like, oh, that's Ariana.
It's Unlike I Anticipated. It's that bit. She really sounded like Ariana Grande.
It was just very pop, and everyone's like, oh, it ruined it for me. It's like, guys, it's one riff. Like, she sounded amazing still. Like, she was just feeling her diva bag.
But also, for as good as she is, the whole time I'm still like, that's Ariana Grande. It's not going to take me out because do you know what also is like Ariana Grande? Her face. She looks like Ariana Grande. Her Thank Goodness was so good. She did. So my favorite Glinda, well, I'm going to nerd out about Wicked for a second because I love Wicked so much. My favorite Glinda is Megan Hilty. Who
I knew you were going to say that, yeah.
Everyone will know because she is in Death Becomes Her at the moment. You know, so tell me, Ernest, that. And she very famously she's actually credited with a lot of the stuff that Glindas now do, like the really high E6 at the end of No One Warns the Wicked. I think Megan Hilty was the first one to do that. She's also the one who does the really ridiculously high F6, I think, which is a note higher at the end of Thank Goodness. But she did this really, really famous opt-up on the, there are bridges you crossed you didn't know you crossed until you crossed. And Ariana Grande did it in the film. And I was so, so happy. I thought Cynthia's No Good Deed was absolutely insane.
I'm glad she did the opt-up for Fiyero as well.
An incredible opt-up. It was just so good. I really, really loved it. I think we both gave it 4 stars on Letterboxd. But like I said to someone yesterday, I was talking to someone who was about to go and see it and they were like, did you like it? And I said, yeah, I really, really liked it. I didn't love it as much as the first one because I think the first one was damn near perfect. And I think that is all, when you've made a film that is so incredibly perfect, as soon as you have at least one problem with the sequel, that's one more problem than you had with the first one. So I think they did probably the best job that they maybe could have done. Because, like you said, Act 2 of Wicked is... I mean, I still love Wicked. I will happily watch Act 2. I think when you're watching it and you're in the moment, the problems don't really present themselves. It's only when you go away and think about them that they do. So they didn't start off on the best foot because Act 2 isn't the greatest, dramaturgically speaking. I think they did the best job that they could. But I still really, really liked it.
Yeah.
There were things I would change, but I would get rid of both of those new songs. I don't think they needed to be there, and I think it would have saved 10 minutes off the runtime.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just like little gripes I have with the new one. Nothing crazy. Like, then there's things that you obviously can't change, like Act 2. But like, it's in like a universal experience. Like, my mom isn't like a huge theatre person. Like, she knew some of the songs from the first act, and that was like her problem. It's like there's like no bangers in part 2. It's like, yeah, there isn't. Obviously, you've got in closest to banger is probably No Good Deed. I think For Good is probably the best song in Act 2. And
I think when No Good Deed happens is when the movie actually gets started. I feel like you are, up until that point, it feels very episodic. Like people are just kind of going things and doing random things. Like the bit with Nessa Rose feels very separate to the rest of the plot. And you've got that weird scene with Bok at the train station. Like, it's just, that was my main issue with the film. And then once we got into the second half of it was when I really was like, okay, now I'm in this. So I wish maybe that first half had just been truncated a little bit, because I think that's where most of the issues for me anyway were. I thought all of the new musical additions in pre-existing songs were really great. I loved the new introduction to Wonderful. I liked that Glinda was in Wonderful. I think that made Elphaba's choice to kind of agree to go with the wizard at least for a little bit more believable.
I agree. Yeah.
I liked the new stuff at the start of the film, that new kind of extended number we got, where we got that sort of minor reprise of The Wizard and I. I thought that was really cool. Unfortunately, that is the bit that Michelle Yeoh sings in, bless her. I don't know why they would make her do that, because Madame Morrible doesn't sing that bit in the musical. It's just some random
I'm still convinced
ensemble member.
Yeah, I'm still convinced that John Chu and Michelle Yeoh have a history. Like, she was in Crazy Rich Asians, so obviously he asked her because they're friends. I still believe that Kiala Seta was originally supposed to be Madame Morrible. because she kind of was in this for literally like 2 seconds. Like
she literally, you just saw her go, whoa, and that was it.
So there was obviously stuff that was filmed that got cut, but like she would have made such a better Madame Morrible, or even, oh my god, who is it from Abbott Elementary, and she played her on Broadway.
Literally exactly what I was about to say was Cheryl Lee Ralph.
Cheryl Lee Ralph, that's it, yeah.
Would have been, because, right, okay, I love Michelle Yeoh as an actress. I think she's incredible. I love Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think she's a great actress. And in the scenes where she didn't have to sing, I thought she was good. I still don't think she was right, because when I think of Madame Morrible, like one of my favorite lines in the musical is when they're deciding basically to, if we haven't said already, massive spoilers for Wicked for Good, the bit where they're like, yeah, we're going to kill Elphaba's sister and then she's going to come and we can catch her. She goes, a change in the weather! And then there's this like huge like thunder and lightning effect. And that is the vibe I want. I want Madame Morrible to be huge and ridiculous. And Michelle went for a very, very different vibe. And I just don't think it fit for this huge, colourful, campy movie. So I would have loved either Cheryl Lee Ralph or Hannah Waddingham. I think both would have been absolutely incredible, because I did think it was notable that the only substantial bit of music they cut was the Madame Morrible section in Thank Goodness. You know, the day you were summoned for an audience with Oz, they cut that completely because obviously she couldn't sing it. I always find it interesting when they cast people who aren't great singers and they're like, yeah, we cut that bit because it was unnecessary. And it's like, well, no, not really. She just couldn't sing it.
Yeah, it's when you think about it, like Michelle Yeoh said, she's like, when she got asked to do it, she was like, I can't sing. It's like, oh, well, work it out. It's like, you can't work it out. It's Wicked. It's not like it's like some easy songs. Wicked is like known to be like a hard musical to sing because the notes are wild, especially with what people have done over the year, and people kind of see it as like the norm to like opt up on a lot of stuff. It really frustrates me. It really does.
Yeah, and as much as I loved Marissa Bode in the part, again, I still don't think the singing was great, but unfortunately, I think had everyone else not been, you know, you've got Cynthia Erivo, greatest vocalist of all time. You've got maybe one of the biggest pop stars in the whole entire world who also has an incredible voice, Ariana Grande. You've got two musical theatre performers. You've got Jonathan Bailey, who has an incredible voice, and you've got Ethan Slater, who has an incredible voice. When you put other people next to them, they're just not going to compare. Marissa Bode, I thought, acting-wise, she was great, but as soon as she had to sing in The Wicked Witch of the East, just the emotion wasn't there for me.
It felt very robotic as well.
Yeah, it did. I think there was some tuning going on there. That scene where she's out in that storm, though, was so sad. Where she's like, anyone? And they're all like shutting the doors on her. Oh my God, it was so sad. It was so sad.
Yeah. I think they didn't make her evil enough either. I feel like in the show it's very much dictator, and I wasn't really feeling that.
Yeah. Well, I think that's because she has a naturally like sweet demeanor. And I think the scenes that were added kind of did add to that, you know, where she won't let Bok leave. But I wish maybe we'd gotten to see, it felt like they very much wanted to get that all out of the way so we could get to like No Good Deed in the rest of the film. Because
I'm sure a lot of stuff was cut as well.
Yeah. That all happened very quickly, I felt. That all happened very, very early on in the movie. Because like, gets turned into the Tin Man, and then you don't see him again until March of the Witch Hunters, which happens like half an hour before the end of the movie.
Speaking of that, Cowardly Lion, I was so disappointed.
Yeah, all of that teasing, and for it to be Coleman Domingo, who is incredible, and I love him, and he had like 3 lines, and he also cut off the end note of the new song, which is admittedly a good part of a not very good song. All of that, for him to have 3 lines. No wonder they left it so late, because they didn't need him until like 3 months ago. 3 months ago. Yeah, I mean, I really liked it. I really liked it. I'll probably go and see it again in the cinema. Do you think it looked ugly?
No, honestly. I felt like this one looked more colourful than the first. I think my problem with the first movie, in terms of colour grading, it looked the worst at Shiz, because it was very bright and white, and like when in The Wizard of Oz, when she goes into the cornfield or whatever, that was ugly. But like even when there's like the flashback, I think it's during No Good Deed when she's back in Shiz, immediately the colour just felt off. It was just too washed out, and obviously a lot of this happens in the Emerald City or in Munchkinland or whatever, and the colours are there. I don't know, what do you think? Something different?
No, not at all. I think the reason the Shiz stuff and the Munchkinland stuff looks more washed out is maybe because they're filming outside and they can't control the light as much. And I do think this film, both of them have a weird thing where the light always seems to be behind the person. But I still think both movies look perfectly watchable and at times look really pretty. I do think this film had more of an over-reliance on CGI than the first one. And there seemed to be a lot more CGI like backgrounds and things like that in this film than there were in the first one, but maybe that's because, I don't know, more of it happens in the Emerald City or in locations that are a bit more fantastical. But no, I've never thought either of these movies look ugly.
I will say I'm probably not the best judge because I don't know what it is in the cinema. I just kind of like zone out and I'm just in it. So I don't, unless like say like the CGI is like glaringly obviously bad, then yeah, it takes me out of it. But normally it's not something I notice, which I know is bad. But like, yeah, I've definitely seen films where like the color grading is that bad that I can tell. But Wicked's never really been one of them. I think the scene that took me out was, again, spoilers, the de-aging of Jeff Goldblum. It's literally on the screen. It's on the screen for like 5 seconds, but that was like, oh yeah, that looks awful.
That was not good. Well, I don't understand. Well, Alpha was only supposed to be about what? She's a teenager in the first movie, and this one is set about 4 years after the first one. She's only supposed to be about 20 years old. They could have just used Jeff Goldblum and put foundation on him or something. Like, that looked weird.
They just go too drastic with it. Like, you didn't need to do that much, I don't think.
Yeah. I liked it overall. I'll go and see it again. I will watch it again. I didn't love it as much as the first one, but maybe that's just because we'd already had the first one by this point. I wouldn't say the novelty's worn off as such, but the first one was just so good that I think it was never going to compare. Yeah, but anyway, we've spoken about Wicked for probably about 20 minutes now, so we should probably move on. The thing I have been watching is Pluribus on Apple TV.
Mm-hmm.
It is so good. So we're, I think, halfway through the first season now. I think it's been given a 2-season order. This is made by, is his name Vince Gilligan, the guy who made Breaking Bad?
Yes, I have seen about this, yeah.
And it stars, she has a very, very funny name. I think her name is Rhea Seehorn. She is a romantasy author, but she's also, like, in all the marketing and stuff, has been dubbed as the unhappiest woman in the world. Like, she is a romantasy author because it sells really well and she makes a lot of money. Her wife, is also her literary agent, and she's like, yeah, it makes a lot of money, we're happy. Carol, her name is, the protagonist, wants to be a serious author. She's written a serious book that hasn't been published. They've just finished a book tour. They get home when all of a sudden everyone starts like twitching and going crazy, and then everyone gets back up again, and everyone apart from 8 or 9 people in the whole entire world has been taken over by this hive mind from space, essentially. It's not actually from space, like they explain it, it's a bit complicated, but basically there's like a frequency coming from space. Some scientists tried to replicate it and it turned everyone into a very overly happy hive mind, apart from Carol and 6 other people. The hive mind are very, very happy, very polite, will do anything the unconverted people want them to. But they're also trying to figure out how to convert them as well. And that's the conceit of the series. Carol is actively trying to figure out how to stop this. What it is an excellent exploration of what it's like to be one of the few people who are not using AI chatbots to live your life. There's a really excellent conversation in the most recent episode where Carol sits down with one of the people and tries to get them to be mean to her about her books. They're like, what do you think of my books? And they're like, we love them. We think they're great. And she's like, okay, be more specific. And they're like, generally, we think they're amazing. And she's like, no, give me a specific. And they're like, on page 52, we love the description you give of this person's coat. It's wonderful. It's so pointed, but also very funny, sometimes quite dark. It's just really, really great. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I have, because I am one of the few people who could never get into Breaking Bad. I've tried several times, couldn't do it. So I was a bit apprehensive going into it, but I've really, really enjoyed it. I think it's really, really great. I think there's 8 episodes in the first series. I think we're halfway through and I'm really enjoying it.
That sounds really fun. Like I feel like I'd seen someone talk about it, but not about what it was about, and I'm kind of hooked. I might have to try and see if I can get a free trial for Apple TV again.
Yeah, because who has Apple TV? I feel like the only person with Apple TV. The amount of people I'm like, oh, have you watched this thing? It's on Apple TV, and they're like, who has Apple TV? I'm like, I do.
I've had it like sparingly over the years. I think I got it because my parents were watching Hijack, the Idris Elba show at one point, which actually kind of made some noise. I did watch, is Severance on Apple TV, or I just made that up? Yeah, I watched Severance on there, so that's why.
There's so much good stuff on there. Slow Horses is on there, which is excellent. Down Cemetery Road is on there, which is also really good. It's
I
another
watched the Rebecca Ferguson thing, Silo.
Silo is great. There's so much good stuff on there. None of it seems to be bad. It seems like they've done one bad show, which was that Jason Momoa one where no one could see. I think it was called See.
Well, they will spend the money to make a show great, but then they just refuse to market it for some reason.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain I've already talked about this, but one of my favorite memes that I see sometimes on the internet is like, we at Apple have really, really put a lot of care and money into this program, and we hope the 6 people who watch it really enjoy it. But
it seems like
yeah,
Severance is really the only one that's kind of broke through the mainstream that people will watch. But I'm sure everyone's just getting free trials to watch it, because who the hell is buying another subscription service?
Yeah, I really do think Apple TV is worth it, because whilst their catalogue isn't huge, there is just so much good stuff on there.
Quality. There
is so much good stuff. I think Pluribus is having a moment. I am seeing a lot of love for it on the internet, and for good reason. It's really, really, really great. And it feels like one of the first things, because obviously AI, and specifically AI chatbots that people actively talk to and get them to do stuff all the time, is such a new, modern, current, recent thing. It's nice to have something that is discussing that and engaging with that, because that's very much what it feels like it's about. So I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes, because I don't know whether, obviously it's been given a 2-season order. It's not a mini-series. It's something I think they want to continue. Like I say, we're halfway through the first series. It'll be interesting to see how this series ends, if it's going to be solved. I doubt it probably will.
Yeah.
And, it might end up being one of those shows where the mystery is always more interesting than the way that it actually gets solved. So we'll see. But I am enjoying it so far.
No, I'll definitely watch it. Like, now that we're on the topic of Apple TV, I want to say the reason that I don't think Apple TV is successful is because a lot of streaming services rely on children's TV. And I think that's one thing that Apple is just not really cracked, because I've just pulled it up now and there's like not much here. Like there's no like really big name things. There's Harriet the Spy animation, but like in this day and age, what is a kid going to care about Harriet the Spy? There's Charlie Brown and Snoopy, but again, modern day children, do they care about that stuff anymore?
The stuff I think they really rely on is prestige adult television.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that doesn't work necessarily when you look at the models that Netflix and Disney Plus more so now are using. They're just throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. You've got, endless amounts of reality television. You've got more children's programming than you could ever imagine, because they just don't want you to ever leave it and go to somewhere else. Whereas Apple TV are like, we're going to release 6 really well-crafted television series a year and hope that people come to them, because Shrinking is on there as well. That's another really great program. It's the Jason Segel one where he plays a therapist, the one with Harrison Ford in it, which is so good. All of their stuff just seems to be really good. And I do think people who get Apple TV and who watch the stuff on there do stick around like we have. We've had it for a really long time. And I'm hoping more people do. I'm hoping people give Apple more money, because God knows they need it. That poor suffering corporation.
It is one of those things, though. It's just like when they don't have Severance on air, like obviously new season, that seems to be obviously their big kind of draw and kind of like their Stranger Things, I guess, like their huge series. But it almost feels like they need kind of like that backbone of like like Netflix. Do they still have Friends? Oh, I guess that's HBO now. But like they always have like these old sitcoms and stuff that they've bought out so they can have people coming back for that, and it kind of keeps them going. Because like Disney Plus now, Bluey is their thing. It's like they all kind of need it, and I'm surprised that they've not really done that, because it just kind of makes sense. I feel like Snoopy, they thought, oh, that'll be it. But I was like, Snoopy's not kind of with the times anymore.
I think they're kind of aiming at a slightly different person, though. It feels like you go on it and it's all very chic and it looks very Apple. Mm-hmm. Everything is very prestige. Everything has had a lot of money spent on it. It's a very different vibe to, Disney are lucky because they own just basically all of the most popular franchises in the whole entire world. So, like, they don't really need to worry. They know that people, like, I feel like, especially with Marvel movies now, their releases seem to be shorter in cinemas because they know they're going to make as much, if not more money from people watching it on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So I think it's a very different vibe.
Do you remember the weird period during COVID where movies were coming out on Disney Plus for extra cost? I remember Black Widow being on there for 30 quid.
Yeah, because Scarlett Johansson sued them, didn't she? Because she was like, this was not in my contract.
Didn't she? I think she
Fair
won.
Enough. Fair
Yeah.
enough. You know, she thought this movie was going to come out in the cinema, and it didn't. They just bunged it on. I mean, actually, no, it did, because I saw it in the cinema.
Disney in the cinema, yeah. I think
Yeah.
it was simultaneous, wasn't it? Wasn't it both at the same time?
Yeah, and some people are like, I prefer this. It's cheaper than going to the cinema. I'm like, yeah, but it's cheaper when it's on the platform for free.
But that's the thing, you buy it. That's the one huge thing is like, I will buy stuff digitally every so often, but it's one of those things like, if that service is gone, you suddenly do not have it anymore.
Yeah,
So
I'll
it's
only
like,
buy
then
stuff.
what do you do?
I only buy stuff digitally like that when it's on sale.
Yeah.
Because, well, massive tangent. A few years ago when I bought my PS5, it turned out my PlayStation account had been hacked into, and someone had set up the two-step verification without my knowing that they'd done that, and I couldn't get into it, and I lost everything I bought through my PlayStation account over the course of like 5 years, like hundreds and hundreds of pounds of stuff. And now I just refuse to do it because I'm just too scared that that's going to happen again. So yeah, but also what baffled me about spending 20, 30 quid to buy something on Disney Plus was the fact that it would eventually be on there for free.
Yeah.
Well, not for free,
It's
as
just
part of the
silly.
subscription you're already paying, but it's like you've not bought an extra thing. You've paid £30 to see it 2 months before everyone else, which I just found completely baffling. Anyway, what is a thing that you have been doing, William?
Not a whole lot. I put my Christmas tree up yesterday.
We're putting ours up tomorrow.
Yeah,
which I'm
we did
excited
it.
about.
Well, we started doing because we have 2 trees in our house. We have one in the kitchen and one in the living room. So we did the kitchen one on Sunday, and we did our main one yesterday. We did go to B&M too and get some extra baubles, riveting stuff, and then I put a garland on the stair banister.
We're putting ours up tomorrow, and I'm excited. We haven't had a Christmas range trip yet, which we normally do to go and see all
We've
the
not been
crafty,
to the
like,
range yet
lights
either.
and, like, you know, the train sets and all that. We've got a smaller tree. We used to have this huge tree, but since we have 3 cats who are very inquisitive, we're worried that they might just come down if they all climb to the top of it.
We had the same tree for years, and then a couple years ago, my mom upgraded and got one where all the lights are already on it, which is honestly the best thing she's ever done. But now our old tree, we've just kept it's in the other room. So now we've got 2 extra festiveness. And what else? I was going to say something. I don't know, but I don't know. As soon as I put the tree up, I always just feel happier.
Yeah,
It's
we
just-
put
I
on
don't
the
know about
Christmas music channel on the TV as well when we put it up.
Mhm.
And normally
Same.
my brother just like sits in the big box that everything comes out of, and my mum and I actually do it.
So you say that, and it makes it sound like your brother's like a toddler, but he is like
He's not. He's
26,
20. He's 27.
27.
He is 27 years old. Yeah, I mean, Christmas is always a very weird time for me because I work in theatre. So normally I've been doing Christmas stuff since August because we prepare all the kids for their Christmas shows and stuff. But I've not been, this is the first year in a really long time where I've not done this yet. I've not done that, I've not had to do that this year. So Christmas is moving at the appropriate timeline for me. Although it did feel like as soon as Halloween was over, Christmas stuff was just everywhere.
Yeah. Have you watched any Christmas films yet?
No. I am of the opinion that they should firmly stay in December. Because I think you can peak too soon. Although my grandparents did watch The Holiday in July this year.
I was going to say, the first Christmas movie I normally watch is The Holiday because it's not too Christmassy, and I normally watch that like the last week of November, so I will probably watch it kind of this weekend.
We'll probably, or at least I will watch probably my favourite Christmas movie, which is Muppets Christmas Carol.
A good
So
one.
I just
Do you
love
have
that
ones
bit.
do you have like Christmas film that you have to watch like the week of Christmas?
I don't know. And again, because my December is really weird, like this year I only get Christmas Eve and Christmas Day at home. So we have to be very specific about what we're going to watch. Normally we always watch Elf because my mum loves it. We normally watch The Holiday. Normally Love Actually, we're not going to do that this year because we're boycotting Keira Knightley in our house for obvious reasons. I just can't bear to look at her face. So, but we'll have to be a bit more selective because I'm home for such a short amount of time. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know what Christmas TV is going to be on this year.
I don't watch TV. I have no idea.
No, but normally we used to go out and buy the Radio Times and then circle everything that we
My grandparents do that still, so I'll borrow theirs.
To be
I
fair,
do like looking through it.
I'm probably about as old as your grandparents mentally.
I am going to Iceland on the 27th, which is very fun and exciting. And I'm hoping to see the Northern Lights this time because
Okay,
they're in
so-
my next book, so I need to see them in person.
I thought you meant the shot.
No.
I was like,
real
wow.
Iceland.
The real actual Iceland, not the that's why mums go to Iceland shop.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm
That is a
so
lot more
excited.
exciting. That is
Yeah.
a lot more exciting.
I'm very. We do need to go to Shop Iceland though to get Christmas party food though.
Yeah. Maybe Kerry Katona will be there.
Maybe I'll get.
Maybe.
She was down the road actually because she was on tour with Katie Price and that was only down the road from her.
Wow. Two British icons.
You know what? I was tempted to go, but the tickets were sold out.
Wait, it was like an event.
Yeah, they were doing like a tour together.
Wow. They weren't just down the road from you randomly.
No, unfortunately not.
No. Well, anyway, I suppose that brings us to the end of another riveting episode of Fiction Friction. William, where can the people find you on the internet?
You can find me at Bill Reads on TikTok or Bill Reads LOL on Instagram because Bill Reads was taken. What about you, Joe?
You can find me at Joe Reads on TikTok, where I might post something eventually, maybe, or Joe Reads with 2 S's on Instagram because Joe Reads was taken. Please do email the podcast if you have any books that you're excited about next year that we didn't talk about at fictionfrictionpod@gmail.com. You can also follow the podcast at fictionfrictionpod on Instagram. Please do rate the podcast on where you listen to them.
Has anyone ever emailed us?
No one's. I literally just checked. That our email address is very, very sad and empty. It's just Google
One day.
verification emails. I'm going to check to see if anyone's rated us yet. Has anyone rated us
please
yet?
Be our first email, guys.
Be our first email, be our first rating. No one has rated the podcast yet.
I swear I've seen a rate before.
No one's there, and there's no ratings on Apple Podcasts. I haven't checked Spotify.
I'll
rate on Spotify. Yeah, but that feels sad. Don't make us rate our own podcast, guys. Imagine if we rated it, but gave it 2 stars. No ratings on Spotify. Is that something you can actually do on Spotify? I'm not sure. You can rate it, yeah. You can rate it.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. One day. This is only episode 5 after all. It feels like we've been doing this for years already. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. We will see you in a fortnight's time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.